To the galaxy at large, Anakin Skywalker died with the Jedi Order. The Clone Wars ended, the Jedi were hunted to extinction, and from the ashes of the Republic rose the terrifying Empire and the figure of Darth Vader. Many Imperials questioned where Vader came from, but none dared to ask. Behind that black mask was the truth. Vader was not some secret warrior summoned from the shadows. He was Anakin Skywalker, once a hero of the Clone Wars, and almost no one knew. In this video, I want to go through every single person in canon who knew that Vader was Anakin. This includes people that knew the entire time from Revenge of the Sith, or discovered at any point during the Empire's reign that Vader was Anakin. We're going to pull from the movies, the canon comics, shows like The Clone Wars and Rebels, and novels like Thrawn Alliances, Bloodline, and Tarkin. Let's jump in with the one person who always knew Vader's identity: Palpatine. Darth Sidious, the mastermind behind the fall of the Republic, was the one who turned Anakin into Vader. He didn't just know Vader's identity, he created it. From the moment Anakin turned against the Jedi, knelt before Sidious, and was dubbed Lord Vader, Palpatine wielded his identity like a weapon. He used it to chain Anakin to the dark side, corrupting his former Jedi persona into the perfect tool of fear and obedience. Throughout the Empire's reign, Palpatine kept this secret from almost everyone. Only his closest subordinates like Mas Amida ever knew. It was a secret that Palpatine preserved out of strategy, because revealing Vader was once a Jedi would expose too much of the truth behind the Jedi Purge and the fall of the Republic. He saw Vader as both a tool and a symbol. To Palpatine, Anakin was a failure of the Jedi, and Darth Vader was a triumph of the Sith. Up next is ObiWan. ObiWan obviously learned that Anakin had taken the name Vader after watching the security footage in the Jedi Temple. He then confronted his former apprentice on Mustafar. For years, Obi-Wan believed Anakin had died there. He had left his former apprentice burning and broken, and assumed his death was assured. But 10 years later, in the Kenobi series, he learns the horrifying truth. Anakin survived the duel, and was now the black-armored Sith Lord terrorizing the galaxy. The realization comes as a shock, delivered by Reva, the third sister, who cruelly reveals it to him. That revelation haunted Obi-Wan. He lived in hiding to protect Luke Skywalker from Vader, and discovering Anakin still lived made everything feel like a failure. He confronted Vader again, but even though he thought that Anakin was completely gone, he could still not bring himself to kill his former apprentice. Next is Yoda. We see Yoda sense Anakin turn to the dark side in Revenge of the Sith, and he seemed to already suspect that Anakin was responsible for the attack on the Jedi Temple. When Yoda and Obi-Wan returned and accessed the temple's security recordings, Obi-Wan asks to review the footage, and Yoda warns him that what he's about to see will only leave him with pain, implying Yoda had already sensed or discovered that Anakin was responsible. After confirming the truth and learning that Anakin had taken the name Vader, Yoda instructs Obi-Wan to confront him while he himself goes to challenge Sidious. Later, following the birth of Luke and Leia, Yoda assigns Obi-Wan to watch over the boy and prepares for his own exile on Dagobah, fully aware of what Anakin had become. Yoda recognized that Anakin had fallen. He sensed it in the Force, and while he didn't witness the rise of Vader directly, he understood the transformation. It was part of the larger darkness that had clouded the galaxy. Next is Bail Organa. Bale witnessed the fall of the Republic firsthand. He saw the devastation at the Jedi Temple, and though he didn't learn Vader's identity right away, once he helped Obi-Wan and Yoda, they filled him in on everything that had happened. Out of caution and duty during the time of the Empire, Bale chose not to reveal what he knew. He adopted Leia and then eventually helped build the Rebel Alliance, but even then, he kept the truth about Anakin's secret. His silence was a matter of survival, not just for himself or for Leia, but for the entire rebellion. Up next is Luke and Leia. Luke learned the truth during one of the most iconic scenes in the saga. In The Empire Strikes Back, Vader confronts Luke and reveals he is his father. The moment shattered Luke's perception of the Force, the war, and his own identity. How could it be possible that he was the son of Darth Vader? By the time of Return of the Jedi, Luke was fully determined to redeem Vader. Luke's understanding of Vader's true identity shaped his actions for the rest of his life, even influencing his behavior with Ben Solo and the future of the Jedi Order. Luke saw the man beneath the mask. He believed there was still good in him, because he had once been Anakin Skywalker. Leia didn't learn anything about Vader until much later. Luke told her the truth in Return of the Jedi, but her reckoning came years later, decades into the New Republic era, in the novel Bloodline. When the truth about her father was exposed to the galaxy, it nearly destroyed her political career. Allies abandoned her, the media turned on her, and though she never met Vader as her father, Leia carried the burden of that truth forward, privately and with resolve. She chose not to dwell on the connection. To her, Bail Organa was her true father. Next is Ahsoka. Anakin's former apprentice spent years not knowing the fate of her master. In Rebels, she finally comes face to face with Darth Vader and senses the horrifying truth. The man she once trusted had become something monstrous. Her heartbreak was visible. She chose not to tell the Ghost crew what she'd learned and walked her own path forward. Her connection to Anakin and Vader lingered as a scar. Even during the events of The Mandalorian years later, Ahsoka still carries that pain. It defines how she sees the Force and how she chooses to live, like when she refused to train Grogu. Up next, R2 and 3PO. R2 didn't have his memory wiped at the end of Revenge of the Sith. He had served Anakin through the Clone Wars and then later served Luke during the time of the Rebellion. R2 witnessed Anakin's fall firsthand, and he always knew Vader was Anakin. He simply chose to remain silent. 3PO, on the other hand, did have his memory wiped at the end of Episode 3. So for a brief time, he did know what happened to Anakin, but it's unclear if he eventually came to learn the truth in later years. Grand Moff Tarkin. Tarkin worked closely with Anakin during the Clone Wars, and later with Vader during the time of the Empire. In the Tarkin novel, it's stated he suspects Vader's true identity, and he's about 99% sure that Vader was Anakin. His familiarity with Vader's tactics and presence hints at a deeper awareness, but Tarkin keeps his suspicions to himself. Next is Thrawn. Thrawn met Anakin during the Clone Wars and later worked with Vader in the novel Thrawn Alliances. He never confronts Vader directly, but subtly acknowledges the truth. Thrawn sees patterns, and he sees through the armor, yet he never challenges it, preferring to keep the secret for strategic reasons, but he too was sure that Vader was Anakin. Up next is Maul. Maul seemed to have discovered that Sidious planned to make Anakin his next apprentice sometime during the Clone Wars. In Season 7, he tried to warn Ahsoka. Though Maul never meets Vader in canon, he understood who Anakin was destined to become. He was one of the few to foresee it before it even happened. His insight added weight to his warnings, even if they were ignored. Jocasta Nu. After surviving Order 66, Jocasta Nu returned to the Jedi Temple to retrieve important data. When a security droid scanned Vader's biometrics and identified him as Anakin, Jocasta discovered the horrifying truth. She tried to expose the information to the clone troopers that arrested her with Vader, but Vader simply killed all of them and then executed Jocasta. Next is Farenbar and Verla. Farenbar was a Jedi survivor, and he hired a slicer to find information on the Jedi Purge. Bar then watched security footage from the Jedi Temple and saw that it was Anakin who had led the attack. Later, Farenbar trained Force-sensitive disciples on Mon Cala, one of whom was Verla. Farren was eventually hunted down and killed by Vader, but Verla survived, and years later, she learned that Luke Skywalker was Vader's son. She nearly killed Luke out of fear, but then decided to help him in locating a new lightsaber after The Empire Strikes Back. Up next is Reva, the third sister. She was a youngling who survived the attack on the Jedi Temple by playing dead. She knew that Anakin had become Darth Vader and led the attack on the temple because she witnessed it with her own eyes. So she joined the Inquisitors later not out of loyalty, but to get close enough to kill Vader and take her revenge. Reva's knowledge set her apart from the other Inquisitors. It gave her clarity and a mission that nearly reshaped the course of galactic history. Balin's Skull. Though not explicitly explained, Balin refers to Anakin with knowledge that suggests he knows the full story. His tone and context imply he's one of the few characters aware of what became of Anakin. It's unclear how he learned it, but whatever his source, it added gravity to his perception of the Force. And last but not least is Sabe. Padme's former handmaiden, Sabe, led a secret movement to learn the truth about her queen's death after Revenge of the Sith. Eventually, she found evidence on Polis Massa suggesting Anakin's true identity when she watched footage of Padme's last words. She ended up serving Vader directly for a time, hoping to prove that Padme was right and there was still a trace of Anakin inside the Sith Lord. Though they eventually parted ways before the events of Return of the Jedi, her knowledge remained intact. She saw what few others ever did, that even in the heart of darkness, a trace of light might remain. From the moment Anakin became Vader, only a handful of individuals ever learned the truth. Some carried it with honor, some tried to exploit it, others died with the secret. Each person who learned the truth had a choice to make, whether to keep the secret, or act on it, or seek redemption, or revenge. In the end, the identity of Darth Vader was more than a secret. It was a tragedy, a weight, and for some, like Luke, it was a chance to bring the light back into the galaxy. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope that you enjoyed it. Make sure to like and subscribe if you did, and as always, may the Force be with you.